Hello, Domain Dave from cheapwinefinder.com. Welcome. And we have another wine today. We talk about a little companion podcast for the wines we put reviews of on our website, cheapwinefinder.com. It's like our 13th or 14th year. Don't know how long, but it's been a long time. But we keep going because it's too late to stop now, right? And if I can remember to talk into the microphone. We have we're still on our Easter. And we have the Kung Fu Girl Riesling 2020 from Washington State. Actually, a single vineyard, single AVA wine from the ancient Lakes AVA. Milbrandt, I think the 2020 vintage doesn't have their technical notes out yet. But from 2016 to 2019, they're all basically the same with just some minor modifications. So I'm going on, it's going to be the exact same thing because it tastes really good. This is one of Charles Smith's brand of wines. Charles Smith no longer owns the wine brand. Constellation brand does. He sold it to them, but it's in good hands. Constellation Brands is one of the best wine companies anywhere and have a great line of wines, and they seem to be doing just fine with this wine. Let me tell you a little bit about Charles Smith. He was a roadie for the Ramones and then went to Sweden, or at least the Netherlands, somewhere out there, to manage Danish, Swedish, Netherlands rock bands, and made a bunch of money out there, and came back to Washington State and decided he picked up drinking wine, in Europe, and got a knack for it. When he came back to Washington State, told everybody that he came from a wine family. He had some money. I'm going to take a sip of this stuff. This is really good. Put together a team and started making wine, and he never made wine before in his life, and it was almost, for wine, he was an immediate success. And he's been making wines. He's been building brands and selling them off and building other brands. The brands that he still owns are top-end Shiraz and that type of thing from Columbia Valley, and they routinely get 100 points. I mean, he came from nowhere on his own and was making great wines. He made some of the best, he doesn't make this anymore. It's somebody else is making it now, but some of the best value-priced wines. Made Washington State wines cool. For a long time, Chateau Ste. Michelle owned 50% of the wine. They were owned by a tobacco company. How cool can that be? And here he is, outsider, no wine industry other than a passion for wine, and he kind of made great wines. And this year, I've had this before. Kung Fu Girl's one of your cheap wine finder staple wines. Take another sip. The greatest Rieslings in the world are from Moselle region of Germany. That's really steep hills on the Moselle River. There's slate and, that minerality. And one of the weird things about there, you get petrol. Petrol, here it's gasoline. In Germany, it's petrol. You get that aroma, and the wine was like, that's very weird wine. And since I never got it in a value-priced Riesling before, I'd make fun of it. But I'm nosing the 2020 Kung Fu Girl. And I'm getting a whiff of Riesling. Not strong, but it was there. And it was like the wine geek in me got excited. They figured out how to make these things, but they have some of the same nature of the Moselle Rieslings. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy. Which is wine geek of me. I'm taking another sip. This stuff is really good. They press the grapes. There's crushing and grape pressing. I think they're more or less the same thing, but they use whole cluster. And whole cluster is something they use in Pinot Noir and in sparkling wines. Whole clusters, the stems are still there. They crush everything. Now it's not whole cluster fermentation, but whole cluster pressing. And what that does is it lessens the acidity. And it also tends to make the wine have more nuanced flavors. So I'm not sure if that's a typical Riesling maneuver, but it's here and it works. And then they use natural yeast. Natural yeast is when they there's yeast always floating in the air everywhere. If you have allergies, you probably know about it. But in vineyards out there, they attach themselves to the grape skins. They're floating around the vats. The natural yeast is said to be more conducive and more balanced with the wine, the local, because it's local. Though a lot of wines today are commercial yeast, and I guess you really have to have a really good palate to notice a difference, but they're using natural yeast. This is aged 6 months on lees. On lees means, it sounds fancy, it's French. All these French terms that sound cool turn out to be like, what? That's it? And on lees means that the dead yeast, after it dies, they keep it in the tank. And it gives the wine a nutty, salty flavor. And if you stir it, it gets a creamy texture, stirred a little, not so much creamy, just a touch. Stirred a lot, it gets real creamy. So that's what goes on here. This is maybe just a touch of cream, just not creamy, milky, more like texture cream. I've got some Japanese music in the background that no one in Japan would ever recognize, but hey, what can I do? Not that easy to find a Japanese music that I can play. The flavor, it's rich flavor. It's balanced, rich flavors. There's a stew of flavors. There's honey and lemon and unsweetened pineapple and maybe some nectarine and peach and pear and maybe kiwi. I mean, there's a lot of flavors here. This is a dry wine, but it's nectar sweet. Which nectar sweet for me is good. It's like biting into a ripe pear or a ripe peach or plum, whatever. And it's got that, but that doesn't have that sweetness to it. So it's kind of a delicious wine. It truly is. This is a wine that if you have an aunt who doesn't really like wine, she'll like this. And you have somebody in your family who's a wine snob, and you pull out this, they're going, oh, okay, cool. I like it because it's going to appeal to a lot of different people. It's $10, give or take $1 or $2 on either side of $10, and it tastes great. So there you go. It's a real Riesling. It's from a single vineyard, a single AVA. The vineyard's Milbrandt. They're one of the cornerstones of grape vineyards in the Columbia Valley. So that's it for me, Domain Dave. Like us where you like your podcasts. I think I talked enough about this. And what else can I say? That's about it. Like us where you like your podcast. We got more coming up. Easter's coming on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the final one before Easter, but after that, it's party time. So adios. Take it easy. Keep it cheap. Stay dry because April showers. So adios. Bye-bye.